Hello everyone, it's time to be a hater. What do you think of that? Dita's here. I hope she's completing my look of like a Bond villain. That's what I was going for. It is time to talk about my worst books of 2025. I like to get this video out of the way early in my end of year videos in order to manifest I can't have a bad book for the rest of the year in my reading because I've done my worst books of the year video. So I simply can't. I simply can't have a bad book.
I believe this is the start of me now and nothing's going to change it.
But yeah, today we're going to be talking about my top 10 worst books of the year. I've got to be honest, I didn't have a lot of bad books. I think I had a lot of mid books this year. The Cursed, Evil 3.5 I think is my highest rating. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of terrible books, a lot of mid books, but we've got enough books to make up this list. So yeah, today we're going to be professional haters. We're going to talk about the books I really didn't enjoy, books that I would not recommend to you. I've got to be honest, can't find some of them. You guys know it's a mess, but I'm moving. I'm just gonna say that again, guys. I'm moving! Can you believe it's finally happening? January. So I will find them all in the move. They're here somewhere. I found about half of them. The rest will put a picture up. So, shall we just get into it? But before we talk about the worst books, I want to chat to you about my Serious Light by Serious Readers, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. This is my reading light and I love it more than anything in the world. I may hate these books, but I didn't hate the reading experience because I used this. Serious Readers make these Serious Lights which have a technology called daylight wavelength technology, and honestly this is like the best thing I've ever experienced in my life. It has this light that our eyes are like naturally predisposed to take in. The light that comes from daylight that comes from the sun. This replicates that, so it doesn't feel unnatural in the eyes. It feels so natural in the eyes. Honestly, the way this lights a page is incredible. I can't describe to you what this experience is like. And obviously the months are dark, we're all reading a lot in like dark circumstances, and that can cause eye strain. I used to get eye strain a lot, and let me tell you, this light, it fixes all of that while still keeping like a cozy vibe. This lights your page so well. I adore it. I cannot recommend it enough. We've still got time to put in some Christmas gift orders, and if your family is looking for something to get you, family or friends, this is a perfect gift. And I have a code that either you or your family and friends can use, and that is code MEG, which will get you £150 off a HD Pro or HD Essential light. These lights have a 5-year warranty. I've been using mine for years at this point and I still love it as much as the day I got it. And also currently there is an extended 90-day risk-free trial for the HD Pro, so you can try it out at no risk. If you don't like it, return it, but let me tell you, you won't be returning the light because it's impeccable. So yeah, thank you for Serious Readers sponsoring this video, but I use this every day of my life, these lights. I love them so much. Make sure you go check out the link below. Okay, time to get into the books, everyone. Let's get into number 10. I will say there is a vlog coming this weekend where like there's a couple books in that vlog that could have gone in at number 9 or 10, but obviously I don't want to spoil the vlog. These were probably on the same level. Those were books I expected nothing from and were bad. You'll see that this week. But these are books I expected something from and were bad. So I guess these are kind of more egregious. Number 10, I'm sad to say, is The Village of Eight Graves by Seishi Yokomizo. So this is a Japanese detective series that are being translated into English. I am reading them in order of them being translated. This was, I think, my third, and I enjoyed this a lot less than the previous two, I'm sad to say. So we go to the Village of Eight Graves, where there's been like massacres throughout history of 8 people dying at a time. There's a lot to do. The plot of this, I don't really know it because this book was so meh. This book, I read the words on the page. Did I take much of it in? No. There's something to do with an inheritance. This guy comes back to the town that he like doesn't remember he was born there and lived there, I think, when he was like a toddler. But he comes back and there's all these like secrets in the town and you know, coming back to the family he's never met and yada yada. This was so disappointing. I think there was multiple issues with this. Number one, the detective who this series follows is barely in this one, and I don't like that from my detective series. This happens sometimes with a Poirot. You'll have a Poirot and Poirot's in it for like 2 pages, and I'm like, what am I doing here? This is not a Poirot. Detective Kensuke Kendachi is barely in this, and he's very fun. He's kind of like Sherlock Holmes coded, like that kind of like genius who's a bit socially awkward and all over the place, that kind of thing. I really enjoy him, and he's barely in it, and I want from these books him. I want to see him solving it, whereas we're very much reading from the perspective of this guy who's come back to like collect an inheritance. And I also think there was something off with the translation in this. These have been translated so far by different people, and there was just moments, I don't know if you guys ever have this with books in translation that you read, where I feel like the wrong decision was made. Obviously, translators are constantly making decisions to like keep the feeling of a book, keep the essence of a book, and like the meaning that different words can have in different languages. There were just moments where I'm like, that feels clunky, and I feel like obviously I've read 2 books. The writing style feels very different in this one. I think maybe this was like a later written one as well, which may have something to do with it. But yeah, there were just moments where I was like, I don't like that translation. I feel like you've made it clunky, you've made it a bit weird. So I'm very happy to report, I think the next one I have in this series is not by this translator. I don't know if any more in the series are, but yeah, it didn't do it for me. Number 9 is another book I expected something from. It is The Retreat by Sarah Pearse. This is the second in a detective series, which I enjoyed the first one. The first one's a sanatorium. This one is set at a yoga retreat.
I got crazy out of my life. I'm so happy. I swear, I've been doing yoga.
Which the detective's boyfriend owns. Like I say, if my boyfriend owned a yoga retreat, I would be in that spa. I'd be getting those yoga classes. I wouldn't be working somewhere else. My God. If that makes me a bad person, it makes me a bad person. But listen, you get a gift in life, you gotta take it. Anyway, a murder happens there and she comes to solve it. Now, the issues with this one were not a very compelling mystery. And I feel like it kind of had a split timeline without having a split timeline, where we're following kind of 2 different story paths. We have got this friendship group, which the person who was murdered is part of, and their storylines, and they've got secrets. And then we're following Detective Elin Warner, who we followed from the first book, and her boyfriend, and his sister who runs the retreat, and the guy that she works with, and all of their kind of secrets and ongoing storylines. And that just didn't work for me. The balance of those didn't work for me. It was also just so boring. It was so boring.
Bored shitless!
It didn't have, like, the sanatorium had moments of, like, I felt like I'm in a horror or thriller film. You know those moments where, like, the music goes really, like, ee! And it's, like, really tense. There are moments of that in the sanatorium. It had its flaws. The ending of that was a bit wackadoodle. But this was just so boring. And that's such a big sin. Being boring is such a big sin for me because I don't have the time to read something this boring. So meh, I'm not reading the rest of the series. We're gonna leave it behind. Coming in at number 8, one I couldn't find because it's very small. Unless, is it here? No, I don't see it. Coming in at number 8 is Orbital by Samantha Harvey, the Booker Prize winner. Yep. What is that to say about Orbital? Pretentious AF. Done. That's all that needs to be said. Orbital is about this group of astronauts who are like, I think it's one orbit around the Earth that we read, or is it? Or is it one day and they orbit the Earth many times? Can't remember. But yes, we're reading from their perspective as they kind of like look out on Earth and have many realizations about life, about, you know, how small we are, a speck in the universe, how little everything that we stress about matters. Also how, you know, like borders shouldn't exist, all of humanity is one, which are all things that I agree with. But I have heard and read said so much better in so many other books without the pretentiousness of Orbital, thinking like, oh my God, the realizations I'm having. Like, this book is like, it's so up itself. It's like, oh my God, I'm so clever. Listen to what I'm saying. No one's ever thought this before. It was boring. Nothing happens. It's just these realizations that could have been an email.
Year of just realizing stuff, and everyone around me were all just like realizing things.
It could have been an email. I mean, it's not very long, but it does mean that like there's no character development, there's nothing interesting, there's no plot. It's just these realizations which I've seen done so much better in so many other books. So let's just leave that there, shall we? Number 7 is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. This is a non-fiction about how we are all so anxious now in society because of social media. And everything is social media's fault. This book, again, boring. Not an interesting non-fiction to read. Not an interesting narrative voice. Not an interesting writing style. But B, I do have issues with his hypothesis. Not that we are all anxious because of social media. Yes, I think social media is a massive contributing factor to why we are all so anxious. And like our constant, I don't think our brains at the end of the day are meant to see this many people. We see too many people constantly online, so many attractive people. We're not meant to do that. Our brains are meant to see like one wench comes with the circus to our village who is so hot and we're like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Our brains are not meant to see this. But I also think there are a ton of other factors as to why we as a society are so anxious. I think a lot of my anxiety, a lot of my health anxiety is like a little bit hereditary, I think. bullying has been passed down a little bit. And I just think, yeah, for every person, there are a lot of different reasons why they might be anxious. They might experience like a lot of trauma in their childhood that makes them anxious around something. There's like infinite number of reasons, I think, as to why we are so anxious. And this rejects anything else. This book, any other proposition, he's like, nope. And it just infuriated me. I feel like there was some research that he kind of manipulated into supporting his hypothesis and like ignoring any other hypothesis. And it was just a bit of an exhausting read because of that. You know, I was like, there's more to this than you want to say. This is too simplistic of you. I don't think this is going to help anyone. It was just, yeah, he was an annoying person to read from. Number 6, another one I can't find. Wait, is it here? All the books I'm like, wait, but is it here? Number 6 is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. It's romantasy. It's not for me. It's not for me. I shouldn't.
It's not for me, Mark. I feel terribly ill all of a sudden.
I just didn't get this. I feel like I read a different book from the people who really enjoyed this. Romantasy, she can see visions if she like drowns herself and she's got to stay blindfolded. He's like a soldier or a knight. I guess he's a knight. He's a knight. I've got Dida Fair on my face. That's lovely. That's been there for a while. Her like fellow people with their eyes covered, they start going missing, her girlies, and she is going to find out what happened to them and he's going to help her. This book is grey to me. It's grey. It's not like, how do you make magic unexciting? How do you do that? I didn't enjoy the plot. I didn't enjoy the characters. I didn't enjoy the romance. I didn't enjoy the little like cute sidekick that just felt lacking in real personality and were just put there because people like little cute sidekicks in their like cozy romantasy and stuff. And I say this every time. I'm a broken record. You'll be bored of me saying this. I'm bored of me saying this. Every romantasy basically that I read, the fantasy world building is unsatisfactory and the romance is unsatisfactory because it's having to do both. It's having to do both. I don't mind a fantasy with a romance, but romantasy, the romance becomes such a part of it that like both are lackluster. I say that every time and it's boring, but it's the truth. What can I say?
Not a joke, just a fact. Not a joke, just a fact. Not a joke, just a fact.
Yeah, I've met people who loved this and I love that for them. And unfortunately I didn't. But I feel like I read a different book. Like it was just so boring and meh, and I couldn't picture it. That's the biggest sin for me in like fantasy. That's often an issue I have. I can't picture it. I can't envisage it. I love picturing stuff. I love like a little cinema in my head, and I couldn't with this. And so, yep, moving on. Number 5 is a recent read. Here it is. It's Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I just read this for the Goodreads Choice Awards vlog. This is not the only one coming. On this list. Can you guess? Can you guess? This book was one it was the last book I read and I was kind of just like done with it. I was like, fuck Alice Feeney, honestly. So basically the premise of this is a thriller where a year ago, this author, his wife went missing. He was on to phone to her and she's like, there's a woman lying on the road. I need to go help her. And he's like, no, don't get out of the car, don't. And she does. And she goes missing and he runs there and like finds the car idle. And then a year later, he hasn't been able to write, so he goes to this remote Scottish island to write, but he keeps like kind of seeing her around, like thinks he keeps seeing her, and there are secrets to the island. It's a very remote island. There's only like 20 people living there. And like I said, all I have to say is basically what I just said in that vlog, but like I hate every decision Alice Feeney makes in her twists. I've read now Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I hated. I hated the reveals in that. That is like, her decisions make me viscerally angry.
Bitch. Mother piece of shit.
And then I DNF'd Daisy Darker, but when I found out what the twist in that was, my eyes rolled to the back of my head and stayed there for about 5 days. And the reveal of this is simultaneously, you could see it 10 miles away, and she just throws in a little extra moment there of like how I'm gonna say it, how someone survived. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. That is just so redonk. It's so redonk. It makes me angry. And I didn't enjoy anything about reading it. It's just like a man and he's in a monologue and men and yeah, I liked the setting. I liked the remote Scottish island setting. So it has that going for it. But I don't know if I'll ever enjoy an Alice Feeney. The decisions she makes, we are not on the same wavelength. We're not gonna get along. She infuriates me. She loves an unreliable narrator and it pisses me off. Because she does it in the worst way. Number 4 is Actually I'm a Murderer by Terry Deary. I read this pretty recently and I originally gave it 2, but then I lowered it to a 1.5 in retrospect after I had my book club live for this on my Patreon. This is obviously written by Terry Deary, who if you're from the UK, you know, wrote the Horrible Histories books growing up, raised me I fear I am great in spite of him at this point. So yeah, this book, there's all these characters on a train, in a train carriage, and they're all saying what they do for work, and one of them says, actually, I'm a murderer. And it goes from there. Now, you think that sounds interesting? Imagine being in a train and someone says, actually, I'm a murderer. Think of where the book could go. Think of the craziness the book could experience. We were saying on that live show, it is a feat. It is actually an achievement to then make this book so boring. It is a nothing burger. It is nothing salad. I have never read more of a nothing of a book in my life.
You're boring, darling.
Next.
You know, but
We're following 3 characters, one a female police officer in the 1970s and kind of like the sexism she experiences, which is one of the only pros of the book. I feel like that is interesting and well handled, perhaps. But then we have a Terry Deary insert, like a very obvious Terry Deary insert, who is unlikable, which is an interesting choice. And then we have the murderer perspective we're following. I don't know what I have to say about this. So boring, so bland. Give me nothing. Honestly, very poorly written. I am surprised when on the live show I found out a 4-publisher auction for this.
It's whack-a-doodle time. It is whack-a-doodle time.
Which, if you don't know, means it was a lot of money. Constable, have you got your money back? I doubt it, because no one wants to read this book. No one wants to read it. The reveal you could see coming a mile off. The murderer was like really bad at his job. Like really bad. Like imagine being an assassin, I'm just gonna spoil it a bit, and just being terrible at your job. That's crazy. And not even enjoying it. Why are you doing this? Why are you killing people if you're bad at it and you don't enjoy it? A wet wipe of a man. The Terry Deary insert Tony is so useless and just relies on the women in his life to do everything. Yeah. No one needs to read this. No one needs to read this. I'm sad, and it's got a sequel because they bought it in a 2-book auction, 2-book deal. I bet you're regretting that, Constable. Anyways, we are now into my 3 1-stars of the year. So coming at number 3, we have The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. I have spoken about this book a lot, and I don't want to anymore because it's so boring. I don't think it deserves our time. This is a throuple book, basically, but it's a thriller as well. So we're following a character who just breaks up with her husband. She moves in with this couple into their spare room and begins like a throuple situation with them, but also finds out there was someone in the spare room before her. Thriller, uninteresting. The thrillerness doesn't really begin until the last quarter, and it's all just jam-packed in that last quarter. The first 3 quarters of the book are just boring, vanilla throuple. And like I said many times, it really is crazy to make like a throuple who are having sex with each other the unsexiest thing you can ever imagine. Like you think those people are down for it, you know, they're gonna be having fun, they're gonna be loving life. The unsexiest sex scenes I've ever read. Uncomfortable, in fact. Like, I think that's really, again, it's an achievement to make it this boring. Again, no one needs to read this. It's a thriller that no one needs to read. It will be forgotten to the winds of time. That's harsh. Andrea Bartz, I hope you're not watching this and me saying that your books are going to be forgotten to the winds of time. Number 2, I can't find her, but it's Mirror Mirror by Cara Delevingne. Yep. Yeah. There's a whole video on this if you want to go check it out. It's atrocious. So we're following a group of friends who, one of their best friends goes missing. She's very early found on in the book, but she's in a coma, and they decide to like together uncover what happened to her, but not really, because they're all just so like into their own teenage issues. It's very like angsty, a lot of serious topics in this. Eating disorders, self-harm through things like alcohol and drug consumption. Like, these characters are deeply, deeply unhappy individuals, but I don't feel like it's handled for a YA book with care. Like, I watched a lot of Cara Delevingne interviews talking about it, and she was like, oh, I want to show, you know, young people that, like, it's normal to be depressed and to find life difficult, and I want you to have hope that you can get out of it. There is no hope in this book. None of these characters have hope. It is just like gratuitous descriptions of them either going out and like getting fucked up basically, or like being on their own and being sad and deeply, deeply unhappy. For me personally, if I was struggling as a teen, that wouldn't help me. That would like put me deeper into that mindset. For me, but this may be different for other people. Other people might read that and be like, I'm not alone. Other people can experience this stuff and end up okay. But for me personally, I would find that put me deeper into that dark place. And so I actually think it's like a harmful book for children. I don't think she didn't write it, let's be honest. So I don't think she set out to do that, but I think it is harmful and it's poorly written. Every serious topic it deals with like child abuse as well. It's used as like a shock value. It's just like a gag moment. I think it's very inspired by Skins. So if you imagine Skins, you know, every moment's a gag, rather than like deeply uncovering, you know, trauma that experience some of this stuff leaves on someone. You know, I just liked all the characters, disliked the writing. I remember there was like song lyrics in it. I wonder if that was Cara Delevingne's. There was like 2 songs at the start and then we had no more songs because they're in a band together, these friends. And it's like, where is she, the girl I love? Where is she, the girl I long for? I don't know who she is, but where is she? It was just like, yeah. Not a good celebrity book. And then coming in at number 1, what I am known for being a professional hater of, The Tenant by Frida McFadden.
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
One that I just read again in my Goodreads Choice Awards mystery thriller video. Oh, I don't want to talk about this book again. I don't want to. I'm going to talk about it now and I'm going to expunge it from my brain. It's gone. It's disappeared. The Tenant by Frida McFadden. We're following this guy who has it all and then loses it all. He loses his job and he has to get a tenant to come live at the house he owns with his fiancée. So him and fiancée live there and this other woman, this tenant, moves in and things like start snowballing from there into like chaos, basically. Level 1 idea. Does that sound interesting to you? Does that sound like something you haven't heard before? Does that sound like a new idea? No.
No.
Why am I reading from this man's perspective? He is so unlikable. He is vile. He is vile. He is like obsessed with, before he hates the tenant, he just can't stop thinking about how he wants to have sex with her. But he's like, no, I couldn't do that with my fiancée, but like I said in that video, her erect nipples. He keeps looking at her nipples, this tenant, and be like, her erect nipples. It grosses me out. The reveals and the descent into what's happening, I just found so uninteresting. And like I just said, I think basically this is feeding into the easiest form of reading and a book and writing that you can get. It is TikTok in a book. It is short form content. It is like brainless. It is brainless.
You sound rather stupid to me, you know. You know, your sort of person. If you had a brain, you'd be dangerous, dear.
I don't want to dunk on this book again, but like this requires no thought, no energy, no pondering, no critical reading, nothing. It is baby food. I don't think this stimulates any part of your brain. It is like doom scrolling. That is what this book is. That is what this book is. I will never enjoy Frida, I fear. I'm very angry that my favourite genre is being taken over by her. I love mystery thriller. I love my time with mystery thriller. I love the genre. There are so many better authors and books out there, and I don't like that like the publishing industry now thinks that we all want Frida. We don't all want Frida. I'm hitting myself in the face. It is the simplest book you can ever imagine, and I am past saying, oh, these are good to get people back into reading. I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I don't think they're doing it, but do I think they're doing that person any good? No. No. So there we have it. Those are my worst books of 2025. Let me know what you thought of any of these. Do you disagree with me on any of these? Did you enjoy them? I feel like Beautiful Ugly. That's the one most of you might have enjoyed here, which I feel like I can get, but I just hate every decision Alice Feeney makes for me personally. I don't like any of them. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Also, let me know what some of your worst books of 2025 have been. What are your duds? What are your uh-uhs? You know, let me know, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!